Alright. Hi everyone, welcome back. Week 4. Really excited to be recording again this week. My name is Reagan. Welcome to my channel if you haven't been here before. If you haven't watched any of my videos, I'd watch at least the first one if you want a rundown of kind of me and my situation, yada yada. Some things have changed since then in, my job career life that I was talking about. I have secured a job. So anyways, go watch that if you haven't before. Thank you again to everyone who has supported me, doing the whole like, commenting, sharing, etc. That really helps the algorithm of these videos. I'm really happy to finally be putting these out there and sharing myself, and I'm really excited to keep growing and getting better as I go. So thank you for all of it. I'll put all my socials below as well, and thank you. So today, I really wanted to talk about college and why it can be so hard to kind of move past, and kind of how the transition period from in college to post-college adulthood can be so hard. And I also want to give advice for people who are either maybe in college or going into college, who might be a little scared of how it's going to go, or there's just a lot of uncertainty. And I also wanted to speak on, again, why the transition period is hard, but also what makes college so amazing, incredible, etc. Like, what makes it something that's so renowned and talked about as the college experience. And to me, it's not getting plastered and drinking and going to frat parties and being belligerent. It is way more than that. So I was originally planning on going back to grad school this year. So I wasn't planning for my college experience to necessarily be completely over yet. I changed my mind about that and deferred grad school at least until next year, within a month of when school was actually supposed to start. So I was fully on the train of, oh, well, I graduated. Obviously, it's sad. I'm not going to have my same friends, but it's not that big of a deal because I'll still be around campus and I still will belong there in some way. It'll just be different, and I'll still get to play on club soccer, and everything will be fine. Obviously, made the better decision for myself in waiting, but that left me kind of in a delayed pattern of being in that post grad adult kind of send off world. What I've said it always felt like or feels like, I've moved past a lot. It's not like I sit in my room crying in a corner not being at school anymore, but there is something to be said for the difficulty of having that transition period. And what makes it so hard partially is that when you are the senior class, you've had 4 years of build up to a high point, to graduating. You are the most celebrated class. Everyone's congratulating you for your accomplishments. You get the degree. You have all the little senior events and everything, and then you're off, and poof, you're gone. And it's kind of just such a build up to just a complete drop off. It's almost like a flat line, and it can be pretty jolting for a lot of people, especially because in the course of your life so far, going from elementary school, middle school, high school. At the end of high school, you just go to college, you pick a major, you go to college. You are following a track of being more or less told what to do, not in a restrictive way, but more in a way of having a specific set guideline of the expectation of what you're supposed to be doing and the things you have to achieve or accomplish to achieve the goal of getting a degree and going to the next step in your career, in your education. And all of these steps are a higher guideline that's kind of kept you safe in following it. And adulthood and post grad is also particularly jolting because it's maybe the first time in your life that you don't have a set structure to what you have to be doing. There's no specifics. Obviously, yes, the next step is get a job, use your degree and everything, but there are so many variables that are then just suddenly up to you. And it's up to you to figure out what you want to do with it. It's up to you to figure out where you want to live, the friends you want to have, how you want to be living your life, what job you want to work. Just there are so many factors that are just uncertain that it's almost like a type of decision paralysis where there's just so much out there. And when you come from such a set train of being told kind of what to do, again, not in an authoritative way, just in having some type of set direction, when you go from the set direction to oh shit, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Very jolting. And something I've also realized is with college, not only because of the immense amount of freedom and flexibility after school to decide kind of where you want to go with your life, that is a very significant part of the process that makes it hard. But college and the college experience to me is such a special thing because you feel such an innate sense of community being on campus. Again, I'm speaking from my experience. A lot of people have different experiences and they involve themselves with different things. But for me, from what I experience and what I see in other people's experience, it's not as much the place itself, it's that makes you miss it. It's more the friendships you form, being around people all the time, having those dorm relationships, making those friendships, and also knowing that every single person on that campus, especially living on campus and being in the same dorms and right next to so many people, you share so much with them just on a baseline. You eat the same food at the same dining halls, you cheer for the same teams, you go to the same gym, you endure all of the same stupid things like ginormous lines in the union at 3:30 p.m. There's just so, I'm speaking specifically to UConn with that. There's so much that is shared, and it really satisfies an innate desire in human nature to be connected and part of a community and have people in your life who have things in common with you. So that I think is the core of what makes college really hard. And that's why I knew too, going back this year, it's not that I don't still have friends who are in college at all. It's not like I only had friends in my class, but it's a very different experience because especially in your class, you form a special type of community, like with the people you graduate with, people that you've studied with for years, especially major specific. For mechanical engineering, I mean, I'm sure any major too, but it narrowed down from the general classes to the core classes that were just people in my major, in my year, taking these classes, and you recognize people and you form this sense of almost unspoken community, more or less, besides just your, outright friend groups and everything. That is just a really special experience. And that is what was the core of the college experience to me. I personally never really drank much. The first time I ever drank was in spring of my junior year for the most part. And that is not to say I judge anyone for drinking or anything. Obviously, just be safe and smart. But especially movies, we all know, don't accurately portray the college experience. There's a lot to be said for how some people choose to go about their college experience in terms of prioritizing some things that may not be as good as others. And it's also, there's so many factors there based on, how much free time you have, what you're studying, what you choose to involve yourself with. But the college experience is so much more than just partying, getting plastered, and just being belligerent. Even if you do all of that stuff, you are still part of the community that you form just being a student at that school. So that's what I think can make it so hard. And for anyone who's going through the post grad kind of adult transition, just know that I really do understand that it can be very difficult. It's a very, I keep saying jolting, but it is. It's kind of, you feel a bit uprooted from the kind of structure that you've had for so much of your life. And there is also a blessing in that. So I wanted to also touch on giving some advice for post grad, adult world type of, mentality, kind of like what I've gone through and my perspective on it. And I also want to give some advice to people who either are going into college or are in college right now. So I wrote them down. I don't want to fuck it up. So anyways, postgrads. If the whole part of college that made it so special was a sense of community, which I think it was a significant part of, find that type of community in wherever you end up. If you're in a new city, you don't know anyone, put yourself out there to meet people. Reach out to your friends from school if you don't get to see them as much. Reach out to your friends from home. Just make sure you prioritize keeping those types of friendships and growing them and adding new ones into your life and maintaining that sense of just a social atmosphere. I know some people are way more extroverted than others, and that can make it easier for them, but there's also a lot to be said for just being open to just meeting new people, going to work events, doing, adult league sports teams. I've put myself in a couple, and honestly, it's great to be able to just still play soccer and still play with people and see people and meet new people and all that stuff. So try to maintain that sense of community in a new way, or just foster the relationships that you already have to keep them. That was my first point. Second, I already kind of said this, but really just nourish your friendships. Keep them well, I don't want to say well nourished, but just tend to them. Don't get caught up in a rigid structure of work, gym, sleep, nothing, or work, gym, sleep, work, gym, eat, sleep, whatever. Don't get too caught up in feeling like you have to succumb to the rigidity of your potential new schedule, especially in a more or less 9 to 5 job or any type of quite demanding job or time commitment or anything. Try to maximize the time that you can have, or like the energy that you can put towards those friendships and relationships, because again, that's going to really help you build a sense of community and feel like you're not as alone. And another thing I wanted to say is, if you think about all the classes before you of people that went through the same experience, they found their way. They might still be finding their way, but they found their way, and you will be okay too. I know this might seem like a first world problem. It's not like this is really life or death, but in terms of just a personal growth experience, it can be a very, very big type of thing. It's very daunting to just be sent off. So yes, just remember that everyone before you has gone through the same type of process, and some people graduate and move into cities with their friends and time their lives, and some people graduate and move somewhere else, or just stay, living at home for a bit and they're not as fulfilled or whatever. There's so many options. You can obviously live at home, as I'm doing, and still work and be fulfilled, but anyways, you get what I'm saying. There's so many routes that you can go, and some people are going to be happier than others, but it also is inherently kind of up to you to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success in this world. And the final point I want to say for postgrad advice is, see the flexibility that you have as a blessing. See it as something that has given you a clean slate. The only limits that you have are the ones that you put on yourself. You have a degree, you have time, you're young, you have flexibility, you can do anything that you set your mind to. You truly can. That is not just some personal mindset type of just like advice that means nothing. You really can, and it's a process, but be grateful for the clean slate that you have. Use it as motivation to know that you're not stuck anywhere unless you believe that you're stuck, or believe that you can't get out of something. For again, general statement, you take it with a grain of salt what I'm saying when things apply to different situations, but you are not necessarily stuck in one career path in one job for your whole life if you get into it right out of college and that's just where you're going to go, because you have the clean slate, you have the flexibility to go wherever you want with it, in your personal life, and where you're living, in your career or job shifts, and maybe even pursuing, I don't know, additional studies and things like that, or just you have so much flexibility. The world is your oyster, and you can go out and make a beautiful life for yourself. So take that flexibility, even though it comes at the cost of not having necessarily that same structure to life. The flexibility is something that you get as a blessing to make the rest of your life absolutely beautiful, which I know you can do. So that's my postgrad advice. For anyone who is in college right now or considering college, three things I wrote down. One, do not be afraid to put yourself out there. People, in my understanding, experience, etc., seem to regret not putting themselves out there more. That's the main thing that I usually tend to see and hear from people talking about it, is people saying, I wish I joined that club. I wish I, said hi to that person in my class. I wish I talked to more people. I wish I was involved with more things. I wish I wasn't so secluded sometimes. You know what I mean? There's again flexibility to be had with how busy you are. And I won't go on a tangent, but I can speak specifically to club sports. If you are an athlete who might have been in my shoes, where a D1 commitment would have been something that would have been really cool, and I think I definitely had the skill set to apply to a D1 school. It's similar to having a D1 skill set, but it's more the flexibility of a D3 school. D1 skill set, D3 mindset. So club sports are a fantastic way to keep playing your sport and have even 4 additional years of the blessing of being able to play the sport that you love. Or you can try out a new sport. Club sports are very different levels depending on the school. UConn has an extremely good club soccer program. If anyone from club soccer is listening, I love you so much. And there is a lot to be had from joining a team like that. Or you can just join a normal club. Just put yourself out there. Don't put bounds on yourself, and fully go out and experience as much as you can, because you only have 4 years to make the experiences, and I only had 3. You need to make the absolute most of it. And put yourself out there as much as possible, because you are going to regret not doing it more than you would doing it in the first place, even if it's scary. So put yourself out there, get involved, do all the things, talk to people on your floor, your dorm, knock on people's doors to meet them. Just put yourself out there. One of my friends from school, we literally met, my roommate and I met him because I put on our whiteboard that I have a life-size cutout of Anakin Skywalker, and knock if you want to see it. You can meet people so easily, especially in the first years of living in a dorm experience. That's when you tend to meet a lot of your core group. That's when I did. And it just starts with just talking. Put yourself out there. Second part. This is especially for my girlies or guys or anyone who is living or worried about living or is used to living in a very, very busy, stressed out environment. I am speaking from someone who has I have experienced burnout so bad, and I would love to be able to tell people it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a really good Instagram account that talks about good study habits. I'll link it also in the description. And my main point with this is do your best to establish a good routine that maximizes your productivity and efficiency in getting your homework done, because obviously we know school should be the priority, being at school. So prioritize your studying, maximize the studying efficiency, get things done, set a routine for when you're going to do things, do them ahead of time, don't do them last minute like I did all the time. But you know what? It's an engineering thing. I'll just go with that. But yes, if you maximize the efficiency in your studying and when you do your work, you minimize your stress later. And that is a massive thing, because not only can you better care for yourself and your mental health and well-being, you can also give your time to the things that you want to involve yourself in and make the most of the experience. Have time with your friends, or time to, be playing a whole club sport. There's a lot of things that you'd want to put your time into. So just prioritize school and set up a good routine and structure to make time for that. And then third thing, kind of related, but just it's gonna sound like mom advice, but please just be smart. Truly value yourself, value your time, value your health. Don't necessarily, it can be very easy to slip into some more or less addictive habits. I'm not talking like doing hard drugs or anything, just things that may not be best for your health, drinking a lot or going out excessively, things like that. The flexibility you have at school is something that can be very good. It's nice to live on your own. It's nice to find your own independence, but it can also be a double-edged sword, because you have the flexibility to also make bad decisions. And sometimes bad decisions lead to good stories, and they can be funny. It's funny when you're, with your friends, you get to witness the belligerent drunk people doing random things on like a Tuesday night. It's funny. No offense. I mean, obviously to the extent of no one dying, but also just try to keep a good head on your shoulders and just make good decisions. And just don't, I feel like the flexibility and the decisions that you can make are something that can be, I don't want to say a danger, but just something to be mindful of, so that you do not regret anything. I think everyone gets what I'm saying. So that's the gist of my college spiel. if anyone has any interest in talking to me about club sports or my experience, I mean, obviously I wore the shirt more or less for a reason for this video, but you can reach out, ask me about it. Any other post-grad advice or college advice or anything like that, talking about busy schedules and balancing a lot of stuff, which I've also had to do a lot of. Reach out. Anyone wants to talk about engineering, all the things that I mentioned, feel free to comment, reach out on my socials, just ask me about it. But anyways, thank you guys for watching yet another video. I'm so happy to be doing this again. 4 weeks, my favorite number. I once again will link all my socials below, and I will see you guys next week. So thank you for watching. Go be your most organic selves, and I will be back next week for week 5. Bye guys.